welcome to Saturday Strolling, the 20th of January, 2024. Before we start talking about the ladies, I want to tell y'all a funny story. This is my third time recording this because the first time I didn't connect my microphone. The second time I left the microphone laying on the counter. So third time is going to be the charm. I made sure I have the microphone. So hopefully this will work. And I was going to do a voiceover. I haven't quite gotten that down to pat. So let's start with the beauty over here. Now this is the Chia E Yinlin. Here we go. Whoop, maybe. There we go. Chia E Yinlin. I have had her since, I believe, 2020. I bought her in December. She got her first repot in April of 22 because the media she came in was really good. She outgrew that pot. And then she's been in this pot since July of 23. And when I put her in here, you could barely see any of the roots, and look how much they're taking over. She is quite the root producer when she gets started. But this is one of my favorite shapes of the hybrid Phalaenopsis. I love the uniformity of this bloom. I love that lacing around there, that maroonish color, and then you've got that bright pink lip. Just gorgeous. And she is still growing this leaf here, wild growing roots, and 2 spikes this year. This is my first year where she's given me a double spiking. I was hoping as well that Harlequin Splash, which is a no ID, I named her Harlequin Splash, would be open, but she's not quite there yet. We'll wait till next Saturday. This one here is one of our May ICPU orchids, still in bloom. I'm going to be cutting these spikes, this spike, look at me being all proactive thinking she's got 2, probably in the next week or so. Not that they're going over, but she does have some roots in her pot, but none that you can really write home about. I watered them this morning. That's why these guys are going to be kind of wet. Uh-oh, fix that leaf. But I do want her to grow a little more vegetation for next year. And this one, this is the, I'm sure this is supposed to be DPTS, just a typo there, black spot. But I think that this one, which I bought at my local Lowe's, a hardware store here in the United States, is the same as this September ICPU orchid. Because if you look at the blooms and the bud, well, not the blooms, but the buds, they are very similar. And the bigger one in the back right there, it started off with just a little bit of spotting, and then as it matures, the bud does get a little more purple in it. And these blooms, if I remember correctly, are like a deep, almost black burgundy, but we'll have to wait and see. They should, keyword in my sentence there, be open next week. Of course, soft pink clouds, aka Andrea, is doing well. And then this is another no ID that I got from Ken, another ICPU from November actually. Now it did come with the spikes. I cannot take credit for the spikes. I can, however, take credit for keeping her alive and healthy so that she can produce these spikes to their fullest potential right now. I am going to let them stay in bloom for a week or 2, and then I will cut one of the spikes just so she's not putting too much energy into 2 spikes. And depending on how well she does here, I might cut both spikes. I haven't quite decided yet. And then this one here, I am just waiting. Again, it's a no ID from, let's see, what shipment was this in? I believe this is a May. Nope, not a May. This is a November ICPU. This is number 5 of that grouping. But I will be cutting this spike as soon as these buds kind of look like this one. Kind of get a little more swollen. Right as they're getting ready to open, I will nip that spike off so that she'll concentrate on some vegetative growth. And this is what those blooms look like. Let me just kind of zoom in. These are kind of going over. But this is what the blooms look like for her because that was on her last week. Miss Shinyi Heart here. Again, I'm going to wait for this bud to kind of swell a little bit more, and just as it's getting ready to open, I will be cutting it as well, because when I repotted her in, let's see, when did I repot her? In April of 23, so almost a full year ago. It is January, a few months from now, so say 9 months ago. She did not have any roots. She does have a few roots, none that we can really see on the outside, but I have unpotted her just to double check. Probably about 2 months ago I did that, and there were some roots in there, so I don't want her to put too much energy again into supporting a bud. Go ahead and nip that so she can work on another fan. And then this one. Oh, this is another one that it's kind of like the Shinyi, not the Shinyi, the Chia Yinlin. Look at the uniformity on that thing. I love this. And again, it's a little more rounded, but it still has that triangular shape to it. And very subtle throat. She doesn't have that bright coloring in the throat like some of them do. But this one, which is a no ID, and the Chia Yinlin, I'm looking at them almost all day. Then of course down here we just have the big girls that aren't doing anything except for vegetative growth. And over here is the bench with the beauties. I moved, like I was telling y'all last week, I did move Miss Scary over here, and she seems to be doing a little bit better. I did have to strap up this new leaf here because it got bent somehow, and I'm thinking it's from people opening and closing the door, not paying attention, and just popping her back, because that leaf used to be about right here. So I just kind of strapped her there to protect her. The two fans on the, is this Macrobay Pops? It is. Look at me. I'm getting to know my orchids. Look at there when I'm moving them around. Macrobay Pops. I bought this one back in 21 at my local garden center, Nick's Nursery here in the Denver area. And it has bloomed off of every new fan that it has created. So I'm kind of expecting 2 blooms. So this one, and then shortly after this one either is getting ready to go over, or wouldn't it be awesome if while this one was still in bloom, this second fan down here would also bloom for us? Awesome. And then my, let me grab the tag. There we go. The Miltonia Spectabilis, the one with the pretty purple flowers, is seeming to take pretty well to my little stand I have her in, but look at all those new growths, how well they're doing. Look at this. And this is the middle of winter. Of course, I do grow in a controlled environment in my living room. Now, did anybody notice this last week when we were looking at this Murasaki? Did anybody? And if you did, why didn't you warn me? I was watering her a couple of days ago, and that's when I noticed the spike. It is, looks like going to be four blooms, which is not bad off of a division, because this Murasaki and this Murasaki used to sit in the same pot. And then I also noticed as I was watering, if I can move these big juicy leaves off from the Censer Blue, we have a new growth on the Cymbidium insiflorium rainbow. Can you see it? Let's see if I can put my hand without messing. There it is. Look at that. And these two are really starting to take off. Now my problem is, and it's my problem, it's me. I am letting her dry out too much before watering her. So now, as part of my checklist every day, I definitely will pick this pot up. Right now she's heavy because she was watered yesterday. And as soon as I start feeling it get a little light, that's when I've been watering her. And then the Censer Blue is not going to give us a blooming off of her new growth there. But hopefully she'll give us one off of the next one. And then little Miss Indigo down here. This is Sarai's rescue that I'm trying to rescue. And I think she's going to be pretty good because she is, can y'all see that little root right there? She is trying to produce some roots. So with that root, hopefully we get some leaves. What else is going on over here? Nothing much except, let's see if I can do this without the glare. Look at that. That's my yin yang. Again, no ID orchid from, I believe I got this one at the grocery store, but she's a big girl. And I call her yin yang because although those blooms look the same, if you really look at them, there are slight differences. If you look at the one on the left, upper petal, a lot more spotting going on there with the red or the maroon, as opposed to the one on the right in the upper part. Oh, they're just beautiful. I love them. And I'm gonna tell you a little trick you can do with your big girl leaves. Well, really with all of them. But these leaves used to kind of sit kind of like this. And I let her dehydrate enough where I can manipulate the leaves. And I kind of just, I start from the bottom and I kind of just do this and then bend them down and then I water her. So once I've watered her, they harden off like this. So if you've got some big girls that are kind of squirped together like that and you want to spread them out a little bit, let them dehydrate enough where you can manipulate the leaves safely. Like this one's kind of stiff because she was watered yesterday as well. But you can just kind of bend it down, start from the bottom, bend it down gently until you get it to where you want it, and then water. And she will stay like that. Vanda over here, it's just growing roots, not doing much of anything, but look how much. I'm just going to take this one down real quick if I can do it without messing things up. So this one is the Summer Love. She used to sit in leca, and those roots right there in the back root tips kept dying off. But as you can see, that one root tip activated, and they are now going down in the pot, as well as that beautiful leaf. So she's doing actually amazing sitting over here. And then I hardly ever show you guys my zigzag plant, but I got this as a little tiny thing back in 21. And she is finally coming into her own. Cannot wait for those zigzaggy leaves. Our little spike over here on the cucullata is still progressing, as well as that big root. I really need to change the media. I really need to change the media. Even though I don't have any labeling on that tag, I'm almost certain I got her in 19 or 20. So that media is 3, maybe even 4 years old. So I definitely need to change that. Peaches, and this is my fault. Let's see if I can get it up in there. Do you see that little brown tip at the tip of the spike? Yeah, I kind of broke the bud off. So I've got to wait for her to start budding again. Kind of feel bad about it. And Sologeny, her new growth is coming up and going in the direction of which I want it to go, because she's a little growth heavy in the front, even though she's kind of centered in the pot, just because of the way that those growths are kind of all sideways. So I'm hoping she evens herself out. I did, oh, almost knocked something over. We could have had 4 spikes on my no ID Oncidium that I got back in May of 22, but I let her dehydrate and the spikes got stuck and then they died off. Same thing with our Red Fantasy. She had 2 growths that had spikes coming out, let her dry out, and well, we have no spiky spikes. But the 3 growths on the Isabella Lunar Eclipse are doing really well. Here is one. Here is, move my hand, 2, or the leaf rather. This is, there we go, 2. And then number 3 is right there. So it's doing pretty good. I know that these pseudobulbs look a little desiccated, but that's okay. There are roots going down and it will come back. Miss, which one is this? Orange Kiss. Her 2 growths are starting to, maybe, yeah, I think they'll be pushing out their bulbs soon. And then look at the Laelia purpurata variation Carina. Look at this growth. I had to tune her around so that this new growth could get the maximum amount of light. Originally, I had her turned around so that she would grow up and towards that grow light up there. But now that she's kind of settled into her spot, I have it where the new growth is getting the maximum amount of lighting. Look who opened for us this week. And guys, when I say the name of this is appropriate, it is the Celtic Sun Mayo. This definitely looks like a sunshine, doesn't it? And here's the last one getting ready to open. But look at that. Oh my goodness. These are just, they're just gorgeous. And these are pretty big because I was kind of concerned with how small this her pseudobulb was compared to what she was growing in the nursery. I was expecting the blooms to possibly suffer from that as well, but these are just as big as I remember them from when I purchased her. And anything else? Let's see. Oh, someone tell me, is that a possible spike coming up on that Taganaga? Because it is continuing to swell down in there, and I've never had one bloom, so I don't know. And we'll go down here real slowly. Look how much this one has grown since last week, so it is really doing well. And this is the Dendrobium spectabilis. And that's why I pulled out the Multonia, because I always want to call it spectabilis, and that is a spectabilis. This is the spectabile. This is why I pull out the tags, guys. But this one I did get from Ken over at the Orchid Supply Store. Now this one I purchased. Yes, he does send me media and ICP orchids and occasionally other things for free to use. However, I do also purchase from him. And this is one of the orchids I purchased, as well as the Dendrobium silver wings, crossed with Nita spots, pink Latoriate. And this one is a Latoria type. And most of the Dendrobiums I have, I realize, are the Latorias. I think I just like them. Or maybe they just grow really well in my environment. And then the two Roy Taganaga growths here are doing well. Now this one I did purchase. That one is an ICPU sent by Ken. And then I'm hoping that my Royal Chip back there in the corner goes ahead and blooms out, because she's got lots of growths, lots of little buds in those leaves. Kingianum is finally coming into her own. Look at all that new root growth coming in. And Ono here, Oro, not Ono, Oro, Oncidium Twinkle Oro that I got from Yoshi over at the Orchids by the Lake. Lots of new growth, lots of growths in there that are maturing. So we may, again, I said it last week, get some yellow flowers. We're definitely going to get some of the white ones, because that spike is starting to swell. And Hibiki is, I think she's loving her life sitting over here, because the growth is getting much better. She's staying hydrated, because again, I tried to check on her every other day and not let her dry out, because I think that was part of the problem with the way that she was looking. Because if you look at some of these leaves, you can tell they got a little dehydrated. And I'm going to make this a little bit shorter than usual, but looky there. Taishing Fly Eagle has us another bud with, looks like one, maybe two more. And then that one in the back opened up backwards, but that's okay. Oh, she's just gorgeous. And I just love that last leaf that she grew. That's the last leaf. And she blooms for me year round. So she'll have these blooms for maybe 6 to 8 weeks. She'll, of course, drop them off, maybe wait a week or two, starts leaf growth, and then blooms. So she's just continuously doing things for me. And while we're here, let's look at the Sogo Vivian Leaf's Edge. I'm taking her out from under the light so you can kind of maybe see her true colors. But this spike, I like the way it went. I trained it to kind of go over that way. And then look at the leaves. She is just looking great. Now this one I call my Plan B orchid. I know you've heard people say don't cut your aerial roots because they can become Plan B when you have an orchid with no roots. That is this one. I do have a video of it. If I remember, I'll link it in the description below for you. And then Pulchra. This leaf is coming out normal looking, so I think whatever she had going on with her, I think it's kind of fixed itself. And then of course our Bellina spike is still coming, so she didn't abort that one. I'm very pleased about that. And what else? Oh, look at Mini Mark. Look at that. We're going to have a bud here, a bud here, a bud here, and then a little cluster here. Not mad about it. This one is the white one with the little orange spots with the deep orange lip. Oh, gorgeous. And then this one is another Sogo Vivian that I got in, when did I get this one? Hold on, guys. 22. So I got in December of 22, so a little over a year ago. And the leaves were solid green, but as they're growing out, she is starting to have a little bit of variegation on the edges. So I'm wondering if this is another leaf's edge. If she continues doing that variegation, I believe that's what she is. But look at her, the way her spike went. And this is my fault for moving the light all the time, but I kind of like the little wankiness of it. So I think I'm gonna just leave that be. And what else? Oh, and then this one here is the, I believe this one is the Yin's Black Eagle. Yes, Yin's Black Eagle. Last week, she was kind of senescing the half of this leaf, and so I just went ahead and cut it off with some sterilized Fiskars, wiped her down real good with some more alcohol, and then I try to spritz the top to kind of keep moisture, to kind of help keep that in control, whatever was going on. And we'll look at our Cattleya, Cattleya and Brassavolas, I think is mainly what's on this shelf. It is. It's all Cattleyas, Brassavolas, except for one in Bractocina, however you want to say that, but we'll look at her in a minute. So this is the Sagrique Wax Ball. She is finishing up. And I don't know if I can get back there and show you, but she does have something coming along in the center there. So we may get another spike from her. And then that big juicy growth is coming right on along. And then the Leopoldii dark one crossed with Sagrique Wax Red that I got at the Fall Orchid Show in 23. I do believe it's either 2 orchids in here, or they cut the back end and it activated the back end to grow, because you can see a little small growth starting there. And then of course the stronger one is coming along. Ruth Lois McNeil, it's not Ruth, I always want to call her Ruth because it's an RTH. She is not going to bloom off of this growth here because it is a bifoliate, and she has only ever bloomed off of the monofoliate or unifoliate. This is going to be a bifoliate growth. Again, never had one of those on my Willanette Wong here. So we'll have to see what happens there. And my Cattleya Zip that I got from Crowell Smith is growing. Look at that big, fat, juicy growth. So I am going to, as it gets a little bit taller, I'm going to strap it like I've been doing to keep it from going over the edge. And I may be able to get away with one more growth before I have to put that one in a bigger pot, or cut off some of those smaller back bulbs and just put her back in the same size. We do have this leaf finishing off here on the, I never know the name of this one. I just call her the White Cattleya actually. But this is what she was sold as. A Rocky Volcano Queen. I don't know. She comes out pure white. The Volcano Trick is trying, slowly but trying. And then we do have the Dewy Forest finishing off 2 growths. I thought I saw something, but I didn't. And then the Brassavola Nodosa, of course, is still sitting here while I'm contemplating doing it. I need to get on with it though, because as you can see, that root is definitely going to touch here soon. Thinking of doing the same thing with my key lime here because of her growth patron. Do have lots and lots of root growth going on here with this one here. Again, another purchase from my local nursery, Nick's Garden Center. And I want to show you guys something else. But is it this one? Was it this one? It was. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'll edit that part out, I guess. But if you look real close, we have a brand new growth coming up. So that is a good thing. Hopefully that new growth will make us that little onion bulb. And I don't think there's anything else over here that we need to be looking at. The Cattleya Horse Maxima is still doing pretty good. I did take that rotted leaf out of the center there, and then that new growth there is doing really well. And of course, got a few roots in there, not a lot, but enough to have it survive. And then we have new leaf growth over there on that Harlequin. And this bud, we're gonna have to wait a while for this one, but let's take this one, and I'm gonna give you a little sneaky peeky of her bloom. Look at this. It's a cream color, and it looks like it's gonna have a beautiful spotted throat. But again, I will leave her in bloom. We will look at her next week, and then I'm going to probably cut the spike. I mean, she's got nice roots in there. Some are green, some are brown. Those are still viable. This is one of the ICPUs from November. So she's not doing bad, but she doesn't look her best. So we're gonna give her the opportunity to kind of spruce herself up for next season. And then remember I was telling you guys, well, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you saw the video where this is the keiki that I separated from the mom. And I said about 6 months, and then she's going to start growing her roots. Well, I did this in, I think it was September. Yeah, September of 23. And do you see that? Let's see if I can get it. Do you see the shiny root in there? Let me put her down and see if I can zoom in. But there it is. Do you see the shiny root? Yeah, now that that has started, she is going to go ahead and get going on the root system just like the Chia E Lin. Here's another one of our November ICPUs. Doesn't look great, but look what she is doing. She's growing roots. She finished that leaf there to the left. So pretty pleased with what she's doing. And I believe let's just look over here real quick. So this Zygopedilum, again, I bought in 22 in May. Did nothing forever, and then finally she decided she was going to do something. Before I forget, there's a reason we're sitting right here. So this is an ICPU orchid from May of 2023, as you can see from Orchid Supply Store. And it is January of 2024, so 7 months-ish. She did nothing. About, I'm going to say maybe 2 months ago, she started some root activity right here. And now she has a beautiful new leaf growing. So BB, if you watch this, this is what I was talking about with, as long as they're not declining, I will keep her. And again, for 7 months, this one did not do much. We'll say 6 months, because I think about a month ago is when she started those roots, maybe even 6 weeks ago. But I just lightly would water her once a week, very lightly, not very heavy, because she doesn't have a lot of roots in there. And just, you know, left her alone and let her go. Now, we have another one here, BB, that she looks dead, doesn't she? No leaves, no nothing. But she does have a little tiny leaf popping up there, and that leaf is firm. I did check it. So this is one that I will try to salvage, even though she looks horrible. It's just a little stem sitting there. Now I will watch her. Now if this leaf comes out and it starts senescing and doing its thing, I'll go ahead and toss it. That's how I decide whether or not to keep them and when to bin them. Here's another one. Had this one since May as well. Has done nothing until recently. Started growing roots. So I am expecting some leaf growth in there in the next few weeks. But they were small. They weren't taking up much space. So that's kind of how I decide whether I'm going to keep them or go ahead and bend them. I'm going to work with them, that kind of thing. And on that note, you guys go ahead and have a beautiful rest of the day, and we will see you on the next one.